Hello and welcome to On the Food Scene with Steve. It's a spectacular day here in Treasure Island, Florida. Just look at the surroundings here. And with me is Chef Mike, the executive chef at this beautiful resort here in Treasure Island. And I had the opportunity of eating in the wonderful restaurant BRGR Kitchen and Bar last night. And I was quite impressed with the types of burgers you folks make here. Chef Mike, last night I had, I think, all 10 of your burgers. A little tasting.
Yes.
And the toppings were spectacular, and you're noted for the toppings. And today, what are you going to make for us?
Okay, Stephen, what we're going to do is we're going to make a bourbon bacon jam, which is we use on our bison burger, and we also use it on our white bean dip spread. So kind of one of our themes is that we have dips, jars, spreads. It's kind of fun, adventure, explore, go to the beach, relax, stay here for the weekend, and have no worries. So we incorporate this recipe into two items. Again, the bison burger and then the white bean dip. So I already did some lardons. These are Newski smoked bacon lardons. But just to get you an idea of what it looks like, this is the finished product to speed up time here a little bit. And I have the fat that was rendered off of that cooking in the pot. And then once that heats up, what we usually do is I have all the ingredients kind of spread out here. We've got some shallots diced up, we've got roasted garlic, diced onion, sherry vinegar, Spanish sherry vinegar, a little bit of Jack Daniels. So that adds a lot of flavor to it, because I know a lot of people make jams at home and they're not quite sure exactly what's in the ingredient. You go to the store and you spend an outrageous amount for a jam when you can make it real simply at home.
Yeah, I've seen the bacon jams in the jar, and they can go up what's $15 or more for a little jar. So
exactly.
Now you can make it at home. Exactly,
and this is an onion jam that we also will provide a recipe for that we make, and it's basically just red wine and white onions slowly cooked down and then pureed up once they kind of absorb all that red wine in there.
Wow, you just gave the secret away how to make that. Wow, so it's not as difficult as some people might think.
No, it's pretty simple. It's 3 ingredients, and then you end up with this product. So that's what we do, is we're basically enhancing the onion jam with the smoked bacon and the bourbon and then a couple of spices.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our shallots in there, our onions, and our garlic. They can all go in together.
Now people can buy the roasted garlic in the supermarket, so they don't have to roast their own, I believe.
They can. They can do chopped garlic or roasted garlic. This is actually a chopped garlic, which I pre-minced along with the onions and the shallots. And so the idea there is once that starts cooking down pretty well, looks like we've got a pretty decent flame out here on the beach.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. Once that starts to cook down a little bit, then you're going to add your spices. So I got the chili powder.
And you can adjust that, I guess, if somebody likes it really hot, they can add some more, or if they don't, they can make it a little less.
Absolutely. This is a bacon or a basic chili powder that we use. We also use guajillo pepper in a lot of our products. And we use that as our Diablo dust, which you'll have on the bison burger later. So each different specialty burger that we do here has a different rub. So you have Jamaican jerk, you've got granulated onion, you've got mushroom dust that we call the magic mushroom, and all it is just a porcini dust. And all of those unique items kind of help enhance each individual dish. This is a smoked paprika, so it gives it a little smoky flavor and still gives it a little bit of spice. And then once that kind of starts going with bacon fat, keep in mind normally you would have your bacon already rendered down and then kind of strained a little bit. So there's your bacon that's in there.
Oh, it's smelling good already?
You got your onions, your spices. You don't use any salt, and the reason why is because the bacon's so salty as it is, it just kind of balances out really well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to deglaze it with the bourbon. I'll let that cook for a minute.
And all that alcohol will burn off?
Let it burn off, otherwise it won't absorb into the product. So you got to cook off the alcohol, and then it'll redissipate back in there. Yeah. And then once that's kind of going, you can add the rest of your ingredients, and it's actually quite simple. You get your sugar. I'll let it render just another.
Do you use the light or the dark brown sugar?
We use the light brown sugar. Yep, some recipes will use the dark, but for the most part, like with brines and so forth, but we'll definitely use light brown sugar. And another secret in here that I think really makes this dish well is a touch of grade A maple syrup from Vermont and the vinegar. So I just put the vinegar in, and then here's the syrup.
What kind of vinegar was that?
Spanish sherry vinegar. And then you just kind of let that sugar kind of work like a molasses once it kind of goes in the pot. And
Must be a great saucy to dip a good crusty bread into.
absolutely, it works really well with the white bean dip spread that we do. Because not only do you have the white bean dip spread, but you've got the goat cheese on there, you've got the bacon jam, and then you take a little crostini and scoop right into it. And the crostinis are really neat out here, being right on the water. One of the things that we've learned is that French bread classically doesn't work well with the seawater being so close. They'll go stale within a couple of hours. So we use a Cuban bread. And the Cuban bread holds up, and it stays nice and crunchy and has a great flavor. And so that'll be the bread that we serve it with. So we make crostinis out of Cuban bread.
Wow. And while we're waiting for that, talk about that dessert. My gosh.
Okay, so we make a chocolate mousse from scratch. We render and cook down our chocolate. We add a little bit of cream to it and kind of make like a base. Whip that up so it's nice and stiff and soft peaks, and then fold in whipped cream that we have on the side. Fold that in. And that's kind of the base. Then we just do real simple, and sometimes you don't want to overlook the complexity of something's own simplicity. And, we have like the brown sugar that we'll add to the graham cracker crust and just warm butter. Takes 5 seconds. Everyone thinks it's like the most amazing thing with this crumbly graham cracker crust, and it's got 3 ingredients, and it takes 5 seconds.
And then it's topped with those
marshmallows. And then you just toast it to order. Fresh shavings of chocolate. And that's it.
And they call that the s'mores, right?
Yes, that's the s'mores, and everybody loves it. It's probably the big favorite out here.
And it's served in a mason jar.
Yes, yeah. Everything's kind of like, that's kind of our theme. We do everything like in a jar. Sometimes we'll do off-site events, and we have these little mini jars, and we'll have like jars on display, and it really seems to be taking off and doing well.
Yeah, it is a fun restaurant. It really is. Oh, is that smelling great?
So then to finish that off, so what we're going to do is we're going to add this onion jam to it, and that fold that right into it. And once that kind of blends together with it,
For you?
thank you. You'll see that you still see the onion in there. You still see the bacon, and it looks a little rustic. What we do is we'll add it to a food processor and just kind of pulse it a a bit. And
But
then
you're
once
still
you do
going to
that-
leave some texture to it?
Absolutely, it's just a little bit of just a quick pulse, just to kind of get it to not be a smooth puree, but enough to where it's palatable, and you don't have the chunks of onion in there, and that'll be the next step in the process.
And how long will this stay in the refrigerator?
It holds up. It could hold up to a week. We go through so much of it, we make it every other day, but it'll hold up to a week, if not longer, if you just keep it refrigerated.
So that's going to be pureed and put onto the bison burger, right?
Yes, sir.
Wow. So, Chef, I watched you pulse the product in the food processor for a while, and then what happened after that?
Okay, so after that, we spread it out on a sheet tray, put it in the walk-in to kind of cool down for a little while. The more surface area you have, the faster it cools. And now we've got this finished product here with a bourbon bacon jam ready to go. When we're making our bison burger, we're going to spread it nice and evenly on the top bun that I kind of pre-marked here. And then we just finished cooking this bison burger. That has a smoked cheddar from Grafton Village in Vermont, which has got a really nice, unique applewood maple smoke flavor to it, which kind of balances really well with the bourbon bacon jam. And then we have the arugula that we use that's grown for us in a climate-controlled facility nearby.
Yeah, I noticed all of the tables have different kind of herbs and greens on them.
Yes.
What is that all about?
So when we first kind of opened, we were looking for an area to kind of add some color, and we thought, oh, this little wall will look good with a wall of greens. And we knew a guy out in Tampa that supplies that. He came out and he said, well, the wall's too small. How are we going to supply you enough product to make it feasible for both of us? And so then sparked the idea to put these on the tables as well. So every table has its own display of a variety of over 66 different greens that he grows from seed for us, and we kind of plant and talk about it 3 months in advance. He starts his growing process and starts delivering twice a week, and we display them. After we display them, we harvest them and wash them and then incorporate them into our recipes.
Great.
So to finish this off is just a little bit more, and then I have some caramelized onions, kind of give it that textural feel. And then once you complete that, you can top the bun. And I generally like to, it's kind of like a show trick here, but if you do it from the side, it'll help kind of display that portion of the burger a little bit more than just straight on top. And then the other ingredient that we use it, or other dish that we use it for, excuse me, is our white bean puree with a little bit of crumbled goat cheese. It's topped with the bacon bourbon jam and a little bit of microgreens grown just the same way as the arugula on the wall.
Well, so there's many applications for this bacon jam.
Yes, yeah, you can use it in a variety of different ways. I think people like both of these options. Even if you do little sliders, it's kind of fun. We'll do a little blue cheese with some little mini sliders and the bacon jam, and people go nuts over it.
And I guess people that want to make their own holiday gifts, it's a great thing to
You
put
couldn't
on.
get anything better than this. It's kind of like the homemade olive oils that were
Sure.
kind of a theme for a while. Now it's like jars and jams, and you can put them in little mason jars. These are the farmhouse variety style jar that you can get a lid for, and that's kind of fun. So it looks like it came straight from the farm. And you can package them up, keep them refrigerated, and serve them. We do a fig jam as well for our cheese board. We do the tomato jam, which is kind of a cooked tomato and rosemary jam that we spread as well for some of our specialty signature burgers. That's kind of all of it.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing your secret recipe for bacon jam. So now you can go home and make that, everybody out there, and you'll be very, very impressed with it. And better yet, come and visit here in the beautiful, beautiful Treasure Island area of Florida at the Treasure Island Beach Resort. And make sure you say hello to Chef Mike here. And Chef Mike, if anybody wants more information about this beautiful property, what is the website?
It's treasureislandbeachresort.com, and I'll list the recipe on there as well, so you can kind of go into our dining area and you can get the recipe that way.
Great. Well, for On the Food See with Steve, I'm here in Treasure Island, Florida with Chef Mike. Bon appetit.